Okay, so here with Paul Ragan and Brent Pope then of the Cardiff Devils and of course Devils Community Foundation. Less than a day now before face-off tomorrow. How's preparation going for the start of the season, guys?
Well, I think, from all accounts, you saw training here yesterday, but I know that Jared's been very positive about his team. I think we've probably over-recruited. I think we've nicely and pleasantly, done better than we expected. And we, meaning, Jared and Franny, have done an outstanding job of getting this team prepared. It's sort of built up until this point, hasn't it? And then next thing you know, it's on top of us. But I think the excitement for this season's team is as great as we've had in a long time, and you probably can affirm that as well. But it's certainly, I think it's the most excited you've probably seen in your time. And for me, I referred to it yesterday in a tweet in the Devil's Decade. I think it's got a buzz about it this year that we haven't seen.
And Paul, are you happy with what you see so far?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, there's obviously providing the money is one thing, but you've got to spend it wisely, and I think it's fair to say from what I've seen so far, it's sharp. The guys look good. I've had a confident, a quiet word with G, and he's very confident in what he's seen so far on the ice. So yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it's very, very excited. Obviously, it doesn't. Money and a good team doesn't mean that you're going to win anything, as we know from seeing other teams. But I think what's really stood out so far, and I've had a bit of time with the guys, is there's just a natural way in which already they're gelling, and I think that's the key in G and Franny teams. They've always gelled very well, and that bodes well for us.
So lots of changes this year. Seven new import players have come in, new British players as well, new goalie, lots of things to talk about. Changes off the ice as well. Ticket prices reduces last year, and we've seen those. Has been a change in the ticket structure this year. Season tickets the same. Change to things like car park admission, and lots of people talking about the changes going on at the club. Let's deal with the car park thing first of all. It seems to have got some opinions flowing. What are the reasons behind that change, Paul?
Well, the main reasons behind it is that what we've tried to do is to generate more funds for the DCF. I mean, that's the bottom line. We need to get more funding into the charity. It is a charity. It's a not-for-profit charity. We've looked at a number of things this season to both reduce and increase, bearing in mind that we've learned very much, or I've certainly learned very much, that you need to have the best team on the ice to generate the crowds. Last year we reduced prices, and we saw that had no impact. This year we put the money in the team, but putting that to one side, is the same applies to the DCF. We have to look at it as a business. It is a charity. It is not for profit, but at the same time, it needs to stand on its own 2 feet. And that's what we have to do with the DCF, and it's what we have to do with the Devils.
So the additional suggested charge or mandatory charge, is that a donation that's voluntary, Paul, or is that a mandatory cost to park now?
Yeah, it's been a huge discussion and debate that's been ongoing, and I think we've taken a view that it is a donation. I would like to say though that people have suggested on numerous occasions that we just need to ask for help. If we need that help. You've got two guys here who sweat blood and tears goes into both DCF and the Devils. We are it effectively, and it's important for us to ask for help. And what we're saying is, look, guys, it's £2 for 3 hours parking. What we are going to do is those who pay £2 will go into a draw for a puck sponsorship, so there's a bit more value there. But we need that money in the charity, and if we didn't want to do it, you've seen certain things that we've done to reduce the price of things. And we will always try and do that, but this is a business now that's being run by our head, not our heart, and we have to do things that are commercially viable.
And in terms of the revenue that is generated from the car park and other areas, then Brent, you're the head of the Community Foundation. Questions arise and opinions vary about how money is spent and where the funds have to go. Is all of the money that's donated to the DCF going straight to things like the ENL or NIHL setup and the juniors and the charitable organisation?
It is. I mean, I think at the end of the day, the way this particular business runs, the Devils Community Foundation, you've got a number of priorities, but you can't place one team or one section higher than the others. The NIHL is no more important than the under-10s, so you can't do anything at the detriment of the whole club, and the club always has to be thinking about the future and developing itself. But we've had a huge turmoil this summer. And I got to give massive credit to Mark Cudahy for what he's been able to do, because, to be quite honest, the problem that we looked at back in April, and when we were reviewing the situation with the NIHL or moving out of the ENL1 setup, we were very uncertain as to how we could go forward, how we could manage a team in a semi-professional league with no budget. And it's something that we've been managed to be able to do, and huge credit consistently going to Mark Cuddy for what he's done. And again, we have grabbed a situation that looked like it was on the brink by just being honest and open about the reality of the costs of ice time, the reality of the costs of the buses last year, of traveling to away fixtures, and we have found a solution. And we found that solution by putting our cards on the table within the team. And it's been extremely rewarding to see that we're actually in a position now where we've got an attractive product again, still trying to manage that overall cost as far as coming in to see that team. But I think we're starting to see a pathway of progression through that E&L side. And we always knew how important it was. It was just whether or not we could manage it on the terms that we were previously managing on. And we've had to change those terms. And to be honest, it's been accepted by the guys. And I think we're stronger for it. We're kind of leaner, meaner, and tighter now than we could afford to be before.
Now, speaking of Mark Cuddy, a bit like G, he's quietly but fiercely competitive, and he never wants to lose a game, or certainly, a season of fixtures. We've got a game coming up between these two. We'll talk about Coventry in a second, but on Sunday, these guys are going to go head-to-head. What can we expect from that? Are we a bit of patty cake on the ice, or are they going to play hockey, or what's been your instruction? Because obviously we don't want guys to get hurt, but we want to have some entertainment.
Yeah, it's a proper game. I mean, there's going to be no patty cake, and there's certainly going to be. It's not going to be a testimonial, sort of knock the puck around and have a bit of a giggle. I mean, don't get me wrong, nobody wants to get injured, but certainly from G's perspective, instructions from us are very clear. We need ice time, we need to work as a team, and we need to take it very seriously. At the same time, some of the young guys and pretty much all the NIHL team, don't want to come out and get slaughtered either. They're paying for pride and respect and of course a place in the elite league team. So all in all, it's people are paying good money. Again, this is a fundraiser for the DCF. Our energy and our focus has to go into generating more money. We're a charity. This is what we do. We do things that are going to raise money. I'd like to see this being an annual event. I think if it's successful, it will be. And I think Meet the Players out in Mermaid Key in front of 30,000 people 50. On Sunday, 50,000 people on Sunday afternoon, if the sun's shining, is going to be awesome for us. Great profile. We've got some giant flags. We want everybody out there to celebrate the Cardiff Devils. We talk about everybody working together. There's three priorities. I've got three priorities. Number one is to make sure that we have a sustainable business model that doesn't need a sugar daddy to rescue it every 3 years. Number two, our kids. Without our kids, we have no future. Number three, win trophies. We need to be the best hockey team in the league, in the elite league, in the country. We're going to push on. But to do all those things, guess what, guys? Everyone's got to pull together and support these events. And that's where our energy has to go into. And that's how we'll build this club as we move into a new stadium.
One of the obviously prominent areas of revenue for the club and for the DCF is through sponsorship. Can you talk to us about how the club is doing on sponsorship this year, maybe versus last year and the year before, and tell us where we are on levels and how happy you are with that?
Yeah, we've got a £250,000 budget to achieve, which is significantly more than the first two seasons put together. But this season we've been able to run it from day one without any issues in the summer. We've secured about 130,000 in contra sponsorship, and we're actually at about 80,000 in cash sponsorship. So we've got about 40 grand to go. We've got 20 match night sponsors still to sell. So that would represent a high proportion of it. So that's a big focus. All the boards are down of people who don't sponsor. It's a very level playing field. We've been working. We've got lots of new sponsors this year, which I'm really pleased about. Should get a fine for that, shouldn't I? And so we're in a really, really strong position. And I think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We can't quite touch it yet, but we can see it. And this club has moved mountains over the past sort of 2 seasons. And it's important for us to continue this hard work. But unfortunately, I think people have to respect the fact that we'll do everything we can possibly do. We're offering 10 instalments on direct debit. Most clubs aren't. Interest-free, that is. Most clubs aren't. We've probably got the cheapest kids in the elite league compared to anybody else. We've got a community foundation, which used to be £120. Now it's £108. It was £108 for the kids. Then it was £100 for the kids. This year it's free. For parents already paying £60, £70 a month for their child to come and do ice skating at 5 and 6 and 7 years of age, all the way through the ages. So we've done lots, in terms of the family, the flex ticket pack, but we've still kept our season tickets right the way across the board down to the absolute minimum. But you can't keep giving and giving and giving. You have to also at times say we've got to get something back, because we've just spent more money than before, because we've gone the one way with the cheaper team, now we've gone with the expensive team. Now we need to see the fans to really support us and come back out and see what's going to be, I think, a massively exciting season. And there's without a doubt we've got some real characters here this year, and there's going to be some fun on the ice, that's for sure.
We'll come to you on that subject in a second, Brent. Just before that, you mentioned briefly about families. Is there a plan now with the ticket pricing structure having changed again for the family ticket to reappear?
Well, there is a family ticket. The family ticket appears already in a discounted family ticket as a season ticket holder. There is also a discount that applies to all flex ticket purchases, whether it's a family or whether it's individual. That applies as well. But our problem is we have to balance the books somewhere. You know, we can't keep giving discounts and discounts. We're cutting out all the. We tried different social media channels last year, most of which didn't work. Sorry, Groupon channels and different marketing channels. So we've eliminated much of that. So we're tightening up our whole entrance procedure this year. Everybody comes through the front door. There's no entrances in the side. We're really ramping everything down. Everywhere this business has hemorrhaged money has been shut down as far as we're concerned, because it needs to be done honestly, above board. And yet, you know, we'll make some mistakes. I mean, hands up, we've made some mistakes. But at the end of the day, by God, we've made some progress. And this club, I hope this year, and it's probably going to hopefully be the first time for as long as we achieve all these targets, that it should stand on its own 2 feet. I'm touching wood like mad here, but it needs to do this, because it's a position where this thing can stand on its own 2 feet, because it's all about longevity, it's all about creating a legacy, it's all about building something strong and powerful. You don't do it by just sticking plasters over everything. You have to start from the bottom up, and that's what we're trying to do.
We talk about the hockey then, Brent. As a former Devil, you've seen quite a few opponents come and go in this rink and the old place. Coventry have taken, it's fair to say, a different direction, I think, with their team this year. Brought some experience in, ex-NHL players, and a lot of size and toughness. What's your thoughts on Coventry and what we might see tomorrow night?
I think we both know each other well as far as our intention. I think that Coventry Blaze have to get themselves back on the horse again. They've been suffering a hangover from great success, through the late 2000s, and over the last year or two, they've faltered. They went through what we've been going through for a decade. They went through financial instability last year, and they found it pretty rocky. And we've been dealing with that, and it doesn't make us any better or any more seasoned or ready for it. We've been dealing with it for a while, so we know what that's all about. But they've bounced back. I think they put a good team on the ice. I think we all understand in this particular business that you have to invest in your product on the ice if you want to drive bums on the seats, and they've looked to have done that. I think physicality and aggression always sells. We don't need a circus show, but we need guys that play for keeps. And I think that they recognize that. I think they've probably taken a little bit of a leaf out of our book in our overall response that we get, from our crowd, because I think a hardest working team and a team that plays with their heart on the sleeve will always go further as far as getting the support it needs when it calls upon it. And I think they need to bounce back, and they need to make a statement this season, and they need to show that they're one of the top half teams again.
Thanks very much.